everybody, it's your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today, we're here to represent. I am so excited to bring this gentleman to the stage, front and center. You all won't want to miss this unique episode, this powerhouse episode. This is going to be exciting. We're going to talk about something new and something innovative that is just about to hit the scene. It's growing, and you want to get in on this opportunity to get in at the forefront because they are taking investors. So we're going to talk about the future of food delivery. My favorite topic is food. Stay tuned, stay with us, stay engaged. Here we go. Everybody, it's your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we had to come correct. We are representing, y'all see the t-shirt, y'all see the logo. We're going to talk about Daxbot and the future of food delivery. And today I have a very, very special guest on the show, Mr. Jason Richards. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Daxbot and leads his commercial efforts in changing the landscape of the future and how we are not used to having our food delivered. Prior to Daxbot, Mr. Jason was the Director of Sales and Marketing for an internet service provider, overseeing the strategic growth of the company. In addition to his work there, Mr. Jason had been hired as a consultant by several other companies to assist them with creating strategies and processes for their organization. Mr. Richards is here today to tell us about the future of Daxbots and how he is changing the landscape of food delivery. So help me welcome to the stage the incredible, the amazing, Mr. Jason Richards. Welcome, sir. It's great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks so much, Marcus. This is looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Looking forward to you. Y'all see him in the back. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We have the incredible Daxbot technology, and they are here on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage to spill some tea and how we are going to change the landscape of future food delivery. Because everybody's getting tired of Pizza Hut and Domino's and Papa John's and the attitudes and all of that. So we have the new age, and we are able to get in on the ground level here today on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, Mr. Jason. Mr. Jason, sir, you're a man of many talents, sir. Your resume is extensive, sir. But I got to ask, what inspired you with your background? What inspired this? What led the way for you to come up with this new age technology and the Daxbot platform?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm actually not the brain behind Daxbot himself. Several years ago, 6 years ago, the founder, Joseph Sullivan, he had this idea. He was walking to work one day. He said, I should have a robot or something do this for me. Like they could deliver me a Coke or, something. And so he started thinking, okay, I'm gonna start, seeing what that would look like. 6 years ago, robots in everyday life. It's kind of a fun idea that you see on, Star Wars or things like that, but not something that you see in, normal everyday things. And so that was his idea. So started doing the research and development behind it. So it's been a long road of a lot of R&D, right, getting to this point. And so last year when the pandemic hit, had some prototypes of some robots, and then reached out to some local restaurants here and asked how we could be of help. At that time, people weren't looking forward to seeing other people, right? So having a robot take from a restaurant, deliver it to people, was great for us and gave us some insight into how the whole apparatus is going to work. And then also helped out the restaurants, obviously. Restaurants were having a really hard time, about a year and a half ago. So getting some really unique ways for them to get food delivery done, and kept their doors open. So kind of neat. And I just came on actually full time just earlier this year, looking at after the prototype going well, a lot of people giving us some rave reviews. As far as everybody loves Dax, as far as the entity that he is. And so now commercializing, going out and, doing, an investor raise like you had talked about, to, build not just a fleet of 20, but, a couple hundred. And so we can start getting out to different markets and things like that. And first few deployments are underway and just really, really cool stuff there. So.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Sir, that is extensive and that's major. And coming on board, he is so cute. My God. He just tilted his head, y'all. That is incredible. What kind of foods is Dax delivering? What kind of strategic partnerships, restaurants are we working with currently? Are you able to share that?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the restaurants that we work with are pretty common. Like coffee shops, for example, we can, put a coffee holder in there and he can deliver coffee drinks, Mexican takeout places, things like that, so that he can go and, it's foods that mostly are delivered for lunches, sub sandwiches, things like that. So, so his cargo area, actually, can't see it. Even if we open the drawer right now, you can't see it with this camera angle. But his food storage area is actually inside of him. And so, so he rolls up, has a heater on board, so he keeps your food hot while it's being transported, and then can get to you and then open up. And so the only thing that he can't really carry, we're figuring out, is if you want a super extra large pizza, it's not going to fit inside of him. But other than that, every other food that we can think of. And we just did a test for putting a refrigeration unit inside the robot, so we can keep stuff cold as well, because we thought, what would be great is to be able to have ice cream delivered and it actually stay ice cream, not a melted mess. So for our test, we did this a couple months ago in July. It was about 100 degrees here in Oregon, and we said, okay, well, we're gonna put some ice cream sandwiches inside Dax, and we're gonna run them around on the asphalt for an hour and have them come back, and I'll taste the ice cream sandwiches, right? Because you have to have, subjective and objective tests, right? So, and it worked great. So kind of cool. So, doing things like that, not necessarily for ice cream, although that could be something, but pharmaceuticals actually is the application we're looking at there. A lot of pharmaceuticals need to be kept at, very, very cold temperatures. So
that makes sense. And so what you all are is incredible. You all can't see, but his stomach is where he's talking about, kind of his belly. And I'm going to share the website here. I'm going to share the screen so you can see what we're talking about here. But Daxbot is a unique opportunity here. So this is the compartment here. This is the full unit. And this is the eyeballs that you guys are looking at in the corner of the screen.
Yeah.
So this is the Dax unit, and this is where the food and all the items are kept. And he's all terrain. This buddy here is he can kind of go anywhere. How far can he travel? Is it kind of like what's the distance on this on Dax?
Yeah, the current configuration, it all has to do with battery size. So the current configuration with the batteries is he can go for about 3 miles and on a round trip. I think the farthest we've done with this current battery is about 4.5 miles. But we've got some batteries that are in testing that we've done 13 hours with them. And so. So it really depends on, what the application is. Most places, especially with food delivery, is, you've got, the big competitors out there that are doing it. And it's usually a vehicle that's transporting it, right? So it's kind of inefficient because you're taking, a burrito that's 6 inches long and transporting it in a car to somebody's house. And, the people that do that type of gig work, which is awesome. I'm glad they're out there doing it. But they don't really make money on the short range stuff. If it's less than a mile, they're not making a whole lot. So they don't necessarily want to do those types of deliveries. So Dax is a great place to be able to fit that, the short range shots and can be efficient, in that space. Because that is actually a question we get pretty often, which is actually surprising to me. And it has to do with, is Dax going to be stealing jobs? And the short answer is no, which it's a funny question right now with the labor shortage we have. But actually, if you look back, since we've been tracking it in the 1970s, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the labor force participation rate has been in steady decline since the 1970s. And so as the population increases, the number of people working in relation to that is low. Conversely, you have food delivery has become more and more of an expectation. Even before the pandemic hit, people were looking at that specific industry of food delivery, whether it was grocery or restaurant. And it was on this pretty steep curve as far as it became more of an expectation. People saying, okay, yeah, you should deliver it to my house. And then when the pandemic hit, obviously it became it became more of a necessity. People were saying, no, I need to have this service. And so those two things, you've got the labor force participation rate going down. You've got the fact that food delivery is on a huge rise. And so that convergence right now, that's where people are contacting us and saying, people want us to deliver food. We don't have a mechanism to do so. Can you give us a hand? And so Daxbot's in a great spot to be in that position.
So you just answered a major question. That was my next question. He cheated, y'all. He saw my list, but that makes sense. That's the problem that Dax solves. Is so we have a shortage in the labor force, and so to replace the labor force, now you have this. Is it fully autonomous? Is it artificial intelligence? Or is it remote controlled?
Yeah,
so to speak.
All of the above. So it's semi-autonomous, and the reason for that is even like a Tesla car, for example, can drive itself, but you have to have a driver behind the wheel. And it's humans are still going to be the best as far as making sure decisions are being made appropriately. So we call it semi-autonomous. So he's able to go down paths that are, mapped, any hazards that are in the way, potholes, things like that. Anytime he's crossing a road, we make sure that we have an operator taking care of that scenario, because as good as artificial intelligence is, humans, especially those that know how to drive, are a little bit better at that. So in that same vein, it's, I guess going back to the labor force shortage is that it's a new industry that is being created as well. Because we have several people that are robot operators, which means that they're overseeing robots as they're doing their deliveries. And so you could go work at a fast food restaurant, or you could come be a robot operator. And so there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, that sounds like more fun. I could deliver food in my car, or I could deliver food via robot and be in charge of four deliveries simultaneously. So it's creating a new industry as well, which is kind of neat.
It is. This is epic, y'all. This is a unique opportunity, and I love this. We have one quick short commercial break. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. Stay engaged. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels: Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level; Duke Duchess, which is our season level; and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. We are back to the Style Podcast Show. We have incredible business and Dax in the corner right here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and they are spreading the word and educating us on the future of food delivery. And I'm so excited. What markets is Dax in? What markets are you currently serving right now?
Yeah, good question. So, last year when we deployed to our hometown here, so obviously, hometown is where we're at. We also have some robots down in Coronado, California, which is a suburb of San Diego, just outside on the island, a couple naval bases right there. And then we've got some robots that are being deployed to Fayetteville, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta a little bit. And then also Washington, D.C., the Georgetown area. So those are the next 2 that are spinning up. Just looking at my calendar, it's happening in about a month or so that we're going to have robots in those locations. So, and then, different people that we're talking to, getting contracts, things like that. there's a lot of hurdles to overcome with state legislations and local municipalities, because believe it or not, most people don't have laws on the books for robots on your sidewalks. So it's just kind of a new industry and new things that people have to come up with. So.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, that would freak me out. I would think Terminator, Terminator.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, D-Day's here. Armageddon, people with their shotguns have been waiting for this moment all their lives, right? So it's so it really just, people are not ready. You gotta put a disclaimer out there. You gotta warn folks, hey, this is coming. You're gonna see this on your sidewalk. Be on the lookout, but don't freak out. It's okay.
Oh man, what's really funny about that is that even everywhere we go, Dax is kind of a celebrity, and it seems like 50-50. So half of the people out there, they just keep, if they're jogging, they'll just jog on past, like, oh, of course I see robots every day. Try to pretend to be too cool, right? And then you have the other half that is more of a human response, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this, which is probably more normal for people. But we haven't caused any vehicle accidents. There's plenty of people that as they drive by and everybody smiles. It's fun walking with the robot, and then you see people drive by and they just smile, like, that is so cool, and brighten somebody's day, even if it's just quick passing like that.
Absolutely. Well, how does he like change lanes? Like, how does he hit the signal at the light to cross the street? Like, does he have like an integration system? Does he have like mini fingers or something?
Yeah, no fingers on him. And that's something that we've kind of talked about back and forth, and seeing what to do there. Technology is advancing more and more into this space. It was interesting. Just Tuesday night, I was driving in, jumping on something with the founder, and I had heard Amazon had put an announcement out about Amazon Astro. And it's this tiny little robot that's going to follow you around your house. It's basically an Alexa on wheels. It's kind of what it looks like, which is kind of neat. And even Amazon was saying, yeah, we believe that 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a robot in every household, which I thought was kind of a bold prediction. It was similar to when Bill Gates said that about the personal computer. And at the time, nobody thought it was, reality. And so it's neat to be in the space because when he's, making decisions, about where he's going and changing lanes and that kind of thing. A lot of that has to be learned. And so there's a lot of robot learning that's going on. So
absolutely. Makes sense. So what is the future? You have a ginormous brain, right? What is the future for Dax? Making him bigger, making him, you said a piece of it, branching into pharmaceutical deliveries, right? Once you figure out the refrigeration piece, because some pharmaceuticals need to be frozen and kept at a certain temperature. But what is the future that you see? What's the goal for Daxbot?
Yeah, so I guess I'll break that down in a couple slices. If you look at the future of robotics and urban robotics, we'll call that. People are working on, like I said, you asked about, pushing sidewalk buttons and things like that. That infrastructure is getting put in place. And so, I was on the phone with the state of Maryland a couple of weeks ago about that. And there's different cities that are building infrastructure so that the traffic signals are smart, so they can be talked via Bluetooth for not just, robots on sidewalks, but also fully autonomous cars and things like that. So when you're talking about the future of robotics, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to get put in place for that. But the way that, back in the early 80s, when people said, well, what can a computer do? What good is a computer? And so somebody said, oh, well, it can store recipes. It's like, well, yeah, that's true. That is a function that a computer can do. But the future of computers is obviously way more expansive than anybody imagined 30 years ago, right? So in the same way, food delivery is a natural entry point. So when robotics, Joseph, the founder, was looking at Daxbot, he actually built it with the systems in mind to be able to do all sorts of things. So, at some point, we are going to have robots that have arms, and we say, hey, I need you to go clean those windows in that type of voice. And the robot says, okay, goes, picks up a rag and cleans windows. Not to take jobs away, but to be able to do things that can be done by a robot to essentially elevate humanity, to do things that only humans can do, right? Only humans can, at this point, program robots, and can do those types of things. And so when you're talking about the future of robotics, there's going to be all sorts of things that are going to be coming. It's quite shocking. Tesla announced a robot that they're working on. But that's kind of the big picture of Dax, is that there's more than just food delivery. Food delivery right now is just a natural entry point because of the market demand for it, right? And so when we look at Dax, there's other food delivery robots that do exist. And they essentially have the same basic idea that, it's a storage container with a couple wheels that can be driven remote controlled. There we go. But with Dax, really the focus was on HRI, or human robot interaction, because a lot of people, like you're talking about, like Armageddon's coming, they see all these little remote control cars on their sidewalks. It's not something that people will smile at. A lot of people will get irritated because it's in a human space, but it's not a human and it doesn't know how to interact. Versus Dax, with a fully articulating neck. Dax, can you give me some hard eyes? He's going to give me some love. So with Dax, to be able to have expressions and that people understand, and nonverbal, he can beep and bloop and look at you and give you signals that are nonverbal, but it's interacting with you as a human, so that you're in a human space, that the robot wants to be, people want to have that robot with you in that space. And so that was the biggest focus of Dax initially. And so that's where we want to continue moving forward. Food delivery is just that first natural entry point. So as far as delivery service, there's lots of places. We've been out to retirement communities and then demos for them, golf courses, different factories, can't talk about all those ones, but different factories that need robots to be able to deliver, parts back and forth in warehouses. And, there's lots of applications for delivery specifically, which is why it's a great entry point into the marketplace. But then the future of Daxbot as a company is to be able to, evolve into a completely different version of Dax that doesn't do delivery, that can do other applications.
Yeah. You got to be careful. Amazon, Jeff Bezos is probably like, wait a minute, I'm going to come after you and buy this out. This is a $1 million idea. So you are actually doing something unique. You are actually taking investors for Daxbot. And so this has probably cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. But can you tell us here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, how much to invest? How much does it cost to invest to get in at this stage in the game? Is it too late?
No, not too late. We actually, so that page that you showed is actually through a company called Start Engine, and Start Engine is an intermediary for crowdfunding. And so we actually just launched our raise 2 weeks ago Wednesday. So this would be day 15. And the traction that we've gotten so far has been fantastic. We're looking at, I think we're close to $300,000 that people have invested so far, and we were only in 15 days. So it's a pretty cool response to see, because there's a lot of people that are in the Daxbot fan club, if you will, that see us around different towns and want to know how they can be a part. So the minimum investment is we wanted to do two things with the crowdfunding raise. One, obviously, to raise money, build more robots, become profitable, and then keep deploying to more cities. The second is building a big fan base, because anywhere that he goes, people love him. And so if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, we want to keep that barrier to entry as low as possible. So the lowest investment we have is $169.50, 50 shares of the Daxbot company, and letting it grow from there. And then it goes all the way up to, I think our I don't think we have a maximum, but as far as the Start Engine page is concerned, anybody that will invest $50,000 or more into the company will actually have Dax come and deliver something to your doorstep. So if anybody wants to see Dax in person, either fly to one of our deployments or invest $50,000 and we'll have Dax come to you. So.
Love it. We have one more quick commercial break, y'all. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We got to pay some bills. Just going back to our show sponsors. Be right back. See you guys soon.
If you're looking for a reliable, professional trucking and logistics service, you've come to the right place. Musa Trucking is a veteran-owned and operated premier transportation provider that can help with all of your trucking and logistics needs. Musa is revolutionizing the trucking industry through strategic partnerships, the development of core personnel, and the use of cutting-edge technology. Our inventory system ensures that cargo ends up divided into the right trucks and reaching the correct destination. Our drivers are dedicated to transporting goods efficiently and safely. Contact us today to get started by visiting the website on the screen or by calling 757-756-5246.
We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. If you missed this, if you're just tuning in for the first time, we are on iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Play, and Audible for all of your streaming needs. And today we have the CEO of the Daxbot. And today we are representing, and he's spilling some gracious tea on the future of Daxbot and how you can get in on this fantastic opportunity. If you were ever kicking yourself, if you were upset, if you had an opportunity to invest in Amazon, Tesla at the ground floor when they were working and building, now is your chance. We are front and center with the CEO, founder himself, and bringing the Daxbot unit and the company, and you can actually buy shares in this company today. It is available on Start Engine today. Sir, you have given back in so many different ways. The Daxbot unit is the future. I see it. I used to do Pizza Hut delivery, so that sucked.
Nice.
That was terrible. And I kept saying, I'm like, man, there's gotta be a better way to deliver this. There's gotta be a smarter way to deliver this, and you beat me to it. So I'm glad, I'm grateful, because I needed you to put me out of work. I was so tired. I was so tired of it. But what advice would you say to that young entrepreneur who's looking for their next investment? What advice that sets you up, that sets Daxbot and your company apart from the rest, if they were on the fence?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, like I said, there are other food delivery robots that are in existence, just delivery robots in general that are in existence. And I did a comparison one time. I put it in a slide deck, and just for my own sanity. And you look at every single delivery robot that's out there, and they all have basically the same form, the same style. They look exactly the same thing. They have different colors. Some's a little taller, some's a little wider, 2 wheels, 4 wheels, 3 wheels, but it's basically the same form. Dax is the only robot that we know of that does delivery, and it is personable and has a personality. And so that's the thing that we focus on more than anything else. And again, here's the reason for it, is that when people are talking about robotics, you'd mentioned Armageddon, the robot uprising, things like that. We joke about it all the time that, when somebody, makes a comment like that, we say, you only have to be worried when the eyes turn red. And so as long as he's got his blue eyes, we're going to be okay. But it's such a cool thing that people want it in their city. They want it to come to their doorstep. And then it just so happens that it delivers something, so it's useful, right? So I think that instead of having something that's utility, like it's doing a job, it's getting a job done, but people don't necessarily want to accept it, versus something that people want to accept and it does a cool job. And that's the biggest difference. And so when we talk about, the user acceptance, we've trialed it on, 2-year-olds love Dax, kids love Dax. It's about their height, if they're 5, 6 years old. And then we tested all the way to, I think the oldest person that I know of that has personally met Dax was 92 years old. And she also loved him. So anywhere in that age range, we haven't really had anybody that said that's a stupid thing. That's a bad idea. And so investing in the future of robotics is, it's a big deal. Again, going back to if in the early 80s, if somebody would have said, yeah, computers might be a thing, I don't know, fast forward 30 years, yeah, computers are a big thing. Or, in 1995, when the internet was first coming about, there were people that were skeptical at the time. Like, oh yeah, is the internet going to be a thing? Well, we're not having this conversation without the internet, Marcus, right? So in the same way, that's where people are at with robotics today, when they're looking at that and saying, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea. Okay. Yeah, it might be here, it might not. Versus, you understand the players that are seeing that, like Tesla, like Amazon, that are saying, oh no, they're definitely going to be the future. And so how do we work on that? Some of the questions that people ask is, I think people assume that we're brand new to the robotics game. It's this brand new thing, and we just spun it up in a year. No, it's been 6 years of research and development, and the founders that invested a couple $1 million into this project so far, and they aren't even the ones working on it. We've got a great team of engineers, operators. We do our own in-house manufacturing, marketing team, sales. I mean, it's a pretty cool company that's poised. It's not just somebody in their garage tinkering. So it's a really unique opportunity, because I think from the investment standpoint, I don't know if there's other robotic delivery companies that you can invest in right now. None to my knowledge. A lot of them have some private funding, but nowhere that I can tell has a delivery robot that you can actually, as a regular guy like me, can go and invest in a company like this.
I haven't found it. I have not seen it. Like I said, I used to do delivery for Pizza Hut, and it was terrible. So I was in some sketchy neighborhoods. So I am perfectly comfortable with investing in Dax, so he can take those bullets. I mean, deliveries for me. So
Right.
I'm perfectly okay with that. So we have a question from our VIP sponsor, Ms. Erica Holmes. Thank you for your sponsorship. This money helps us grow the channel and find unique and powerful guests like Mr. Jason and bring them to the show. She has a question. Do you have a program for STEM, or are you willing to partner with a company to outreach for the youth?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have 2 kiddos of my own, one who is 8 and one who is almost 2. So the 8-year-old, he loves building things, and so very much likes engineering and things like that. So I love STEM. I'm so glad that it's becoming more and more pronounced in schools, because I think it's super important, especially for the future of the economy in the United States and that kind of thing. So we don't currently have a program for STEM. No. We have done plenty of Q&A and things like that. We live in a town. We're very close proximity to Oregon State University, which has some robotics departments and things like that. A lot of the people in manufacturing and in robot operations are actually full-time engineering students at OSU, and then they can come and work in an actual robotics company part-time. So it's kind of neat. So, and then going to high schools, the local high school has a robotics program, things like that. We don't have anything formal or anything formalized, but we have done quite a bit of, outreach, and especially people that really like robotics. They like to come over and see the operation. And we've had Dax go to different robotics classes and things like that. We actually just did it was last week. I did an interview at a different college, a few hours away, different part of Oregon. But hopefully that answers your question.
It does. I'm sure it does. I hope it does. Thank you, Miss Erica Holmes, for that. Sir, what advice would you give to that young entrepreneur, right? This is a show for entrepreneurs, young, middle, and old. I probably shouldn't say old. Young, middle, and wise, senior. Wise. Yeah. Thank you. What advice would you give to that entrepreneur whose back is against the wall? COVID-19 was terrible, and they just didn't know what to do. What advice would you say to that young girl or that young boy out in the audience?
Yeah, it's something that I talk to myself a lot at times. I had a mentor years ago, and they said, you usually will get in trouble when you start listening to yourself more than you're talking to yourself. And by that, he meant that you've got everything that you need inside of your head to figure out what you need to do next. And so a lot of times it's just a matter of a mental shift. So if somebody says, can we do this? Versus somebody says, how can we do this? It's almost the same question, but the difference is the how, And so when you ask the question, how can I do something? It puts your mindset into problem solving instead of can I do this? I don't know. And so being able to have that mindset of, how can I do this? Because I can solve this problem. Does that mean I need to change? Does that mean I need to, adjust pricing? Does that mean I need to shift markets completely? I don't know what the problems are out there. Entrepreneurs always have loads of problems. I got problems. You got problems. All God's creatures have problems. So So having a mindset that allows you to think through, how can we do this? How can we overcome?
Absolutely. Sir, what's the best way for my audience to connect with you? How can we grow with you? The train has already left the station. Daxbot is on a roll. But how can we connect with you? How can we learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple ways you can connect with us, social media channels, the usual suspects, Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. And it's hashtag or I dig Dax is our handle. I dig Dax. IDIGDAX. And we've got kind of a fun fan base, and Miriam, who's our marketing director, she's very engaging with everything. If you want to learn about the product itself, that would be Daxbot.com, www.daxbot.com. And you can learn all sorts of stuff about how the product is, who the founder was, what our team's doing next. And then there's also a link on that page that can take you to the Start Engine page. If you're somebody that's looking to invest in Dax, we'd love to have you be part of the Dax fam. So it's going to be great.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. That's startengine.com/Daxbot, Facebook, I dig Dax, and any of your social media handles, and Daxbot.com. Connect. We don't want to miss this opportunity, y'all. Sir, I want to say thank you for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast show today. I am in love with Dax. Brother, you are phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming on this show today. I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. We need you. We need what you're doing. So we appreciate you. And I want to say to you publicly, don't ever quit, because you are necessary.
Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate that, man. This has been phenomenal.
Absolutely. And thank you all, my audience, for tuning in to the Gentleman Style Podcast show. I hope this message has served you, and I hope this takes your education and your knowledge base to the next level. It is not too late. There are things out there, there are investments out there, there are products and companies out there, geniuses like Mr. Jason and his team out there that are changing the world one Daxbot at a time. Like I end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your families, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman, your favorite gentleman, and Jason Richards of Daxbots signing off. Love you guys. Bye.